These went a long way. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Golf Magic channel. Firstly, before we get into the video, if you guys are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all our equipment reviews like this one, equipment comparisons, tour news, and much more going into the new year. If you are new around here, I'm Alex, the video and equipment editor here at Golf Magic, and today I'm bringing you an equipment review of the new Cobra Rad Speed irons. With me today, I've got the Cobra Rad Speed and the Cobra Rad Speed 1 length irons, and today I'm going to put them through the paces for looks, performance, technology, and just see if they could be right for your game. There's a lot of really exciting technology put into these irons, and I can't wait to show you all what Cobra have done with them. Let's get right into the video. So, Cobra Rad Speed, we've already reviewed the drivers for this range, but there's a lot of technology packed into the irons here. First of all, let's talk about the looks of these two irons. It's very clear, if you haven't known already, that these are the game improvement irons, I'd say, of Cobra's product range. They already have a player's iron, the Cobra King Tour Mim, which we've reviewed already, and they do have some other stuff coming out as well. So this is more to the mid to high handicap players, and from that I'll give a looks basis just to see how they compare to other irons we've reviewed this year. Going on to the Rad Speed iron, not the one length to begin with, it's proper interesting to see what the technology is packed into it to begin with. You can notice it instantly. If you haven't seen our 3D printed putter video, Cobra have transcended that into their irons as well and put a 3D printed layered medallion lattice in the back of the club. And I'm looking at it right now and it's very strange. I do like it because it's just new technology, and I'll see how it performs on the launch monitor here at Grays Golf. But the way in which they've designed it, it just shows that Cobra really know what they're doing. The way in which they positioned it with the radial weighting as well, it is a proper game improvement iron. But for me, if I had these in my bag, I'd be pretty proud to show them to my mates just because of how they looked. They're not ugly by any means, and I think Cobra are really positive at putting forward an iron that's flashy in a way that doesn't look too ridiculous. I don't know, there are some clubs that I've seen that I'm just like, just calm down a little bit. But the colour that they've put in here, the fluorescent yellow, similar to the Cobra Rad Speed in the driver, it's positive. I do really like it. The difference between this and the Cobra 1 length is there's a colour difference, which I'll get onto in a little bit. But for me, a really positive club. There's the tungsten weighting in the top as well, which is associated with the radial weighting, which I'll get onto in the technology section. But yeah, nice club. Looking down at it as well, again, yeah, it's a game improvement iron. It's a big iron. You can see that the top line isn't too thick, and they've got a really interesting kind of pocket on the top of it as well, which I'll get onto again in the technology section. But you can see the cavity as well looking down at the club, which is something that I thought I'd mention because I know some people just like to see the top line and not seeing the back of the club. So it's a little bit different in terms of that, but that's only because I'm saying that from a player's iron's perspective. Looking down at it is obviously a game improvement iron, and again, it kind of suits that modernistic spaceship appeal that I mentioned in the previous Rad Speed video. It's very new, very modern, very flashy, but not in a way that I would think, oh, this looks a bit pathetic. It's very nice to see. And going on to the 1 length, it's literally exactly the same in terms of the design features. It's the same apart from the colour, and that's where the kind of layered 3D printed area here is blue rather than yellow, just to differentiate between them. But again, I'm a big fan of the Cobra irons here, albeit them being game improvements, so not something that I put in my bag, but really interesting to see what they've done with the technology because of the tungsten weighting and the 3D printed area on the face. It's definitely one that I think I'm never going to hit a bad shot with them looking down at the club, but we'll find out when we go to the performance section. Now let's jump back to the studio when I can do a deep dive into the technology behind these two irons. It'll be interesting to see the difference between the 1 length and just the Rad Speed normal standard length, and just see what Cobra have put into these, comparing it to the drivers as well, and what I can expect out of these when I go into the performance section. Let's get back to the studio. So the Rad Speed irons have two main pieces of technology within this product range, and these two pieces both seem to lean towards the optimal performance that you should get with the Rad Speed and the Rad Speed 1 length. The first piece of technology I'm going to talk about is the radial weighting in the irons. This is also prevalent within the drivers and the fairway woods as well. Radial weighting is the radius of gyration, and what Cobra have done here is position the weighting in the club at specific areas, meaning that you can now get optimal performance because of the way they position this. In the driver they positioned it at the front and back. With the irons they've positioned it low on the heel and the toe of the club. These are the furthest point from the CG, or the centre of gravity of the club, meaning that they are still low in the head and they're still giving you optimal performance. This lowers the CG dramatically while still improving the stability of the club head. The standard weighting setup for the Rad Speed irons is 10 grams in the form of a tungsten weighting, which is put low on the toe, and then 3 grams of mass, which is positioned on the heel of the club. The 10-gram weight that is positioned on the toe of the club is a screw that is actually customizable for your swing. So this 10-gram weight is changeable by 6 grams, meaning that depending on your swing weight or just how you swing it, this can be changed during the custom fitting process to suit your swing. That, from my end, I think is a really positive point of view just for a game improvement side. Some irons aren't really customizable apart from like your standard loft and lie, but having this in the bag for Cobra I think is really nice to have. The second part of the technology that I want to talk about for the Cobra Radspeed irons is the 3D printed nylon medallion that is prevalent within the Cobra Radspeed and the Cobra Radspeed 1 length. If you weren't aware, Cobra have partnered up with HP, a 3D printing brand, to bring you a 3D printing specification throughout their iron sets and actually in the limited edition putter they released last month. Now the 3D printed nylon medallion utilises an intricate lattice structure to save weight and still optimise feel on the club. When looking closer into the actual design of the club, you can see this intricate lattice design, and through the medallion you can actually see the cavity back too. By doing this, it loses weight by the 3D printed structure, and then you can use this weight to position it better with the radial weighting that they use in the other technology. The top line that I mentioned in the design section is a new carbon fibre top line, and with that it's 2 grams lighter than usual, and that 2 grams can then be positioned optimally around the club via the radial weighting. The 6 irons loft of the Radspeed irons come in at 24 degrees, which is extremely strong. Not surprising considering game improvement irons are now pushing towards that stronger loft, but even so, a 6 iron, 24 degrees, that's a strong one. I'm expecting with that, it's going to have some pretty decent distance. As well as that, I'm expecting quite low spin as well, a 24 degree loft for a 6 iron. Optimal spin for a 6 iron is around 6,000 RPM. I'm expecting this to be a little bit lower, which I don't think is that much of a negative, but yeah, we'll see what happens with the performance at Grays Golf. The Radspeed 1 length features all the technology that's jam-packed into the standard Radspeed irons, but they are the same length for each club. So, from 4 to pitching wedge, all of the irons are 37.5 inches long, which is a standard 7 iron length. However, Cobra have optimised the swing weights, meaning that you still get consistent gapping and distances throughout each club. The progressive shaft weighting and fine-tuned lie angles on the Radspeed 1 length means that you still get lower launch on the longer irons, whereas on the shorter irons you get higher launch. That's something that may have been a problem in the past, but it seems that Cobra have now fine-tuned that to make sure that the performance is as optimal as possible. As well as this, from 6 iron to 4 iron, the sole widths for the clubs do still get progressively wider in comparison to the variable length irons. That means for the longer irons, you do have some forgiveness there still for the clubs that amateur golfers do tend to struggle hitting off the tee. So as you can see, a lot of technology that's jam-packed into these irons. I think the 3D printed technology is something to watch for the future because it seems that the opportunities that you can have here are pretty endless, and the more they go into it, I think there's more things that are going to come out of this section. The radial weighting seemed to work a treat for the drivers as well, so it'll be really interesting to see how that translates to the Radspeed irons. I'm expecting these to go a long, long way, and I think you're going to be surprised. Let's get back to Grays Golf and see how these perform. Right, so the Cobra Radspeed and the Cobra Radspeed 1 length. This is probably the longest time I've spent just hitting clubs for a review, because for the 1 length I wanted to not only hit the Radspeed 1 length 6 iron, but also hit the pitching wedge, the 8 iron, and the hybrid that we got delivered to us as well. First up, let's just go on to the Radspeed, the standard normal length ones, not the 1 length. In the technology section, I mentioned that with a game improvement iron set, they're going to be stronger lofts, so I would expect some pretty decent distance, and yeah, this was pretty eye-opening for me. I've tested some game improvement irons in the past, most recently the Callaway Big Bertha B21, which went quite far. These went even further. I was using the KBS Tour stiff shaft, so pretty spot on for me, maybe an X-Flex shaft, but these went a long way. I'll put the data up on the screen for the 6 iron that I use now, and as you can see, I was averaging with the Cobra Radspeed standard length 6 iron about 230 yards. Yeah, obviously from my perspective, I wouldn't really call this a 6 iron, I'd call it more of like a 5 iron or a 4.5 iron, but like the distance that I was getting was monumental, and if I talk about the feel for a bit as well, for a game improvement iron, these felt amazing. Like, I didn't expect them to feel so positive. I expected them to feel pretty easy, have quite a high spin rate. You can see quite a low spin rate, to be honest, for a game improvement iron club. But when you hit it out in the middle, which to be honest I did quite a lot in this session, they absolutely soar. They went absolutely miles, and I could not believe how far they went. It was 230 yards consistently, topping out at 240 yards. And they felt so easy to hit that I never thought I was going to fluff one. When I did hit a bad shot, it was still going over that 200 yard mark. So ginormous distance there. You can see, if you've seen my previous videos, my 7-iron would usually go about 180 yards, so this is a big jump. Obviously the lofts are associated with that, but from a mid to high handicap perspective, because of just how nice these feel when you hit out the middle, and also from when you don't strike it very well, these are definitely one to keep an eye on. And if you're in the market for a mid to high handicap set, have a look for these ones, because these go miles. And the dispersion I got as well, again, I had some decent dispersion in the previous video I did. This has rivaled pretty much the same. I wasn't really hitting anything left or right. The workability, this is from a low handicap perspective, not really applicable, but I wasn't hitting a real fade or draw. It was going pretty straight the whole time. That's exactly what you want to see from a mid to high handicap club. So yeah, unreal. I'm so impressed with this by Cobra. There's so much technology packed into it, and with new technology, you always want it to perform. These irons did, and I'm still kind of in shock as to how far they went. Going on to the Rad Speed 1 length, I'll be honest to you guys, this is the first time I've tried 1 length clubs at all. With the 6-iron being a 7-iron distance, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I've seen reviews in the past saying that they struggled with the ball flight, particularly on the lower and the higher length clubs, so maybe the 4-iron and the pitching wedge. But first of all, I tried the 6-iron, and from a just golf standpoint, I was expecting it, obviously, with it being 37.5 inches as a 7-iron, to be a little bit shorter. No, exactly the same. This 6-iron went, well, I'll put the data up on the screen now, it went 230 yards as well. Bang on, exactly the same as the other Rad Speed. And yeah, it's just, it feels exactly the same as you'd expect, the same product line. And I'm just so surprised by this. It feels so nice to hit. And honestly, I want this video to finish so I can go back and hit them again, because 230, 240 yards again, maxing out for this. It's unreal. With that, I then wanted to test all the other clubs that I had with me. So the pitching wedge, the 8-iron and the 4 hybrid. I went on to the 8-iron, and the distance gains were consistent throughout the set. For me, I really enjoyed having the consistent length of club for every single club to begin with. Having that 8-iron pitching wedge, it felt like I was just putting the same swing as to every single one, with the same swing weight, and the results I got were pretty good. I will be honest and say it took a while to adjust, especially on the pitching wedge, but the distance gains and stuff as well. My 8-iron was going around 180 yards, with the pitching wedge going about 160 yards, so huge distances there. Again, it's because of the strong lofts, but I didn't find it difficult to hit at all, and it seems that the problems that Cobra were having originally with the 1 length, with the ball flight and the apex that you were getting from the irons between the mid and to the low irons, it's changed now. And is it down to the new technology? Is it down to the radial weighting? I think so, because these irons are unreal to hit. When I went onto the 4 hybrid, this is from my personal experience, I don't like hybrids. I can't really get on very well with them. The 4 hybrid, I wasn't actually getting that good ball speed. So as you can see with my 6-iron, I was getting about 145 miles an hour ball speed. I still can't believe I said that. With the Cobra Rad Hybrid, I was getting pretty similar, about 150, and I was getting about 5 or 10 yards increase in distance. That is probably because the degree and lofts between the 21 degree hybrid I was using and the 6-iron, not that different, which is a bit strange to say, but I found it quite difficult as well to manage that one because it did feel a bit strange. Something that I'm sure if I used, I'd get used to, but just something to consider. I feel like the 1 length clubs are an investment. They're not something that you just slap in the bag and expect to immediately shoot your best score. It'll take a few range sessions, because it does feel a bit strange for the clubs that you would consider to be a little bit longer and a little bit shorter. But still, yeah, I'm still just blown away by these clubs. I'm still in a bit of shock as to how far they've gone. For a game improvement iron set, if you're in the market for them, try these, 100%. Try these, because these will go a long way for any kind of swing speed you have. They've got that forgiveness in there. They're not that unappealing at address as well, and I think these may be a club to look out for in 2021. Now we come to the Golf Magic verdict on the Cobra Rad Speed and the Cobra Rad Speed 1 length irons. You can tell that I'm pretty impressed by these irons. From a mid to high handicap perspective, these are the exact type of irons that I feel like people should be buying. They tick every single box, and I feel like the way in which Cobra have modernised golf in a way, really pushing that boundary to try to appeal to those maybe younger players, this is exactly on the same wavelength. I'm loving the design of it, and it really is something that I want to see more of next year. With the stronger lofts, I feel like that should be the way forward with game improvement irons as well, because it gives that little bit of a boost to people who need that extra bit of distance. And the design of this club as well, and the technology they've put into it, for me, I'm just giving it top marks. For the Rad Speed and the Rad Speed 1 length, I'm giving both iron sets a Golf Magic Gold Star. There's nothing else I could give it, from the price to the technology to the performance, the dispersion. For me, so far, this is the best game improvement iron I've tested. It's going to be hard to beat. I'm loving the customization and stuff you can have it as well with the tungsten weighting, with the 1 length. There's so many options that you could go into when thinking of this club. And the way in which Cobra have put forward this club as well, it's just so smart. So from here at Golf Magic to Cobra, it's just a massive gold star for both iron sets. I'm so impressed by what they've been able to do, and the technology that they've put into it is so forward thinking. The 3D printing affiliation with HP as well. I'm just so excited for 2021 and to see what else Cobra can release and how positive it can be. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video today. It's been really interesting to test not just the Cobra Red Speed, but the Cobra Red Speed 1 Length 2. They're two top quality iron sets, and if you are into that mid to high handicap range, definitely go down and test these at your local pro shop or retail store. We always recommend you get custom fitted because there's so many options available, from the radial weighting to the 1 length to whatever custom shafts you want. So here from Golf Magic, get custom fitted if you're in the market for any sort of irons. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, leave a like down below so that we know if you guys do enjoy these type of videos. I'm looking to do a lot more game improvement iron reviews in the new year, so let me know what you think. If you want any sort of improvements to the video and have any comments to make about the Red Speed and Red Speed 1 Length, any questions, let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Any stupid questions as well, I'll answer them too. If you guys are new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all our equipment news, equipment comparisons, equipment tour news, and much, much more. If we get 200 likes on this video, I'll pit up the Red Speed 1 Length against previous 1 Length models and just see how they compare. So get liking the video and I'll make that video very soon. I'll see you guys at the next video.